Good morning. My name is Michael Denny. I'm a college and career coordinator with the Greater Clark County Schools. We are here at the Jefferson High School College and Career Center this morning to have a conversation with some of our student interns who have been out working in local businesses. And going to, at this time, let the students introduce themselves and where they did their internship. And we'll just start here with Alex.
My name's Alex Moss, and I interned over the course of the last semester at the Greater Clark County Schools Service Center. And what I did there comprised mostly of technology-related tasks as I worked with other people there doing the tasks I was with, along with getting to know everyone. And
My name is Rebecca Harris. I interned at Southern Indiana Rehab Physical, like the Pediatrics Center. Basically, I observed not only physical therapy, but occupational therapy and speech. They kind of wanted me to get a feel of all of the different fields. So I just worked with them, and I also helped at the front desk with like scheduling and making calls and stuff.
My name is Evan Shive, and I worked with the mayor's office for the city of Jeffersonville. And basically what I did there was I helped every department and the mayor do their day-to-day tasks.
Guys, why don't we talk a little bit about, with an internship, you were obviously out of the building for about a half a day, so basically half your class time was spent out at these job sites. And I'd like you to talk a little bit and just share some of what you feel you got from that you could not have gotten in a regular classroom setting.
I'll go ahead and jump in. I thought that jobs were like cut and dry and this is what you do, but I came to learn that they all kind of like the speech and the occupational therapist, they all kind of like coordinate together because they have to like refer people to other therapists and stuff like that. All of the little ins and outs that I would never have heard about if I just tried to learn about from reading a book or researching online.
Well, basically the thing I learned was the only thing that you can pretty much learn in school about government is in government class, and that's none of it. That's basically the cut dry bone of it, and it doesn't show you anything about what real government is.
I got my hands dirty in the field, actually working with hard drive maintenance, camera maintenance, working with pretty much people of all cuts from every single part. And there was older generations who helped me out, there were different newer generations who helped me out, partner assistant work in that, and basically at school with the computers, it was more of, again, it was a classroom setting. Here it was out in the real world, and I was able to, again, get more hands-on with it. And it definitely helped me open my eyes and see more of the field and helped me get even more interested in what I initially was.
It's kind of like it's like reading a book. You read it and you make your own interpretation, and then you go and see the movie and you see someone else's. You don't actually see what it's really like just from being in school. You can read about it, you can, hear people talk about it, you can even hear like a physical therapist talk about what they do. But until you go for, I don't know how many months were we in this? 6?
Been there for
4?
Full semester, about 4 months.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But until you're there for a while and actually see their everyday life, you don't actually know what happens. You think you might, but you don't have any idea.
Tell me, and I think each of you were pretty close on target with going to do an internship in a close to your career field choice. Talk a little bit about how the internship has it changed your thinking about your career path? Has it reinforced your choice? Talk to us a little bit about that.
It's actually given me a whole lot of insight of what I want to do. I was basically between business and mostly anything in business, and that's given me a good idea of that I want to be something in business, but I want to get a minor in political science and possibly someday run for office in some type of field. And I know this has helped me a lot because I know people's names and people know my name and my face because they've seen me.
So this kind of opens some doors
Yeah.
for you potentially.
Um, I was planning to major in physical therapy and go for the full doctorate degree, which I still was interested in until I saw all of the different things that they did. And this is going to make me sound very lazy, but they do a lot of extra paperwork when I want the more hands-on experience with the patients. So that kind of showed me that I'd rather do the physical therapy assistant, which is more hands-on. You still have paperwork, obviously, in different jobs, but it's a lot more one-on-one with a patient rather than sitting at a desk typing their notes and stuff like that. So that kind of like, it changed it a little, but also reinforced that that's the field I want to go into.
Alex?
My experience in my internship has completely reinforced my interest in computer science and whatnot. It's not, there was some technical aspects in the software side of computer science, but mainly it was more information technology and the physical hardware side of it. And it gave me much more insight working with people on that part of the job and working with pretty much everyone on that. And there was a lot of things I learned. There was a lot of things I knew, and I actually helped people there, as well as I learned from them. And basically, I'm looking to continue into information technology, computer science related.
Okay. Tell me, as you guys have been our first group of student interns in our college and career readiness program, what was the hardest part about the internship?
I really didn't think it was that.
So,
I mean, the workload was, you have to be motivated to do it, but it wasn't that, in a sense, hard. It was just you have to know what you want to do, because if you were in something you wouldn't want to do, then that it would just make it not fun for you, and you wouldn't want to do the work. But if you're in something you want to do, then you have motivation to actually do it.
Yeah, like I've heard some people who didn't like it, but it was because they were going into a field that they weren't sure about, and so that they didn't really enjoy their internship after that. But knowing what I wanted to do and being in that field, even though I didn't do as much observing, like I did observe, but I also had so many different aspects. Like I had to do reminder calls. I had, I was sending out faxes to the doctors. So it like broadened my horizon, and I had a full workload every day, but it really kind of expanded like everything that I thought I knew, because now I have different fields that I know how to work in, and have a good like work ethic.
goodness, the most difficult part I've at my internship was probably settling in on the more professional style of working, not in a classroom setting, but I actually had standards to meet and tasks to get done, not from a teacher in front of a chalkboard. It was from a real person in an office who understood what he was doing and actually helped me do what I was doing. So,
Guys, let's pick up on what Alex talked about and think about it from the perspective and kind of share with us the difference in the expectations when you went into that work environment versus the expectations in school, and how different was it for you when you got out there?
I kind of feel like school, it's your teacher gives you an assignment, and you want to do it because you want to get a good grade, and some kids don't do it because they don't care about their grade, but when your supervisor gives you something to do, you want to do it because you need to do it, and if you don't, you have the expectation that you're going to get some type of penalty, and you don't want to do that because it's your actual life.
The good thing about the internship was that in a classroom setting, I could have gone an entire class period, listened to my teacher lecture, and not have a one-on-one conversation, not actually communicate with my teacher. You can go an entire day and not communicate with your teachers or your peers, just go through your day, get done what you need to get done. Whereas with the internship in a professional environment, you have to communicate with the coworkers around you. You have to be cordial even if you don't really like them, because that's who you're with every day. You can't change that. So you have to learn to be cordial and be professional, and you can't speak out of line, you can't get attitude. You have to stay collected and think before you speak, and that was a good thing to see firsthand before I actually try and get a job.
And you talked about having to get along with everybody at the workplace. And you saw that as something that you wouldn't necessarily have to do in the classroom. Did you see or experience times when people displayed unprofessional type behavior towards a colleague?
Luckily, I didn't. The group of women that I was with, they were all really friendly with each other, and they had disagreements, but they all handled it really well, and that was nice to see. What I did see was how they handled parents or patients that weren't being respectful, and how they handled that instead of I've seen people get mad and all of that, but them, they that's their job, so they had to take and try and twist it to a positive thing when they were being maybe yelled at, or they had a stern voice when they were talking to the therapist. They had to take that and be positive and be cordial and still go through their workday. You can't have disrespect towards anyone in your job because that's unprofessional.
Evan, you worked with a number of departments that were kind of in the mayor's office, but different departments throughout the organization. Did you see differences in the professionalism or how people interacted, or could you see a difference in what the expectations were in some of those different areas as you went from one office to the next?
Well, basically, it's kind of an all tightly run machine. That's how I would put it, at least. It's everyone, the mayor wants something, and then every Wednesday morning we have a meeting that I went to, and it was the department head meetings, and he goes through all the department heads, goes around the table and just asks them if anyone has anything to do, if anyone needs help with anything, and all the department heads come together and they help each other. And going and being in all around them, you see that pretty much everything runs the same way because all of them want the same goal.
Alex, working in the transportation department, how did you see people interacting? Did you see any examples of?
Well, 90% of the building was bus drivers, so they were a rowdy but gentle bunch. And the other 10% was the people I worked with. The tech, it was my supervisor himself, and then my partner, as well as a few others who assisted me in my work as well. And pretty much it was they were rather amiable fellows. They understood that they knew we needed to be nice to each other. They understood the task at hand. We understood how to get it done. We rather enjoyed working together, and there was much peer-to-peer interaction, whatnot, and the experience for myself as much as them. They liked having me there, and I believe I left a good note when I left there, as well as having connections and references with them as well. So.
Let's talk a little bit about the benefits that you think you got from doing the internship. I mean, Alex has mentioned connections. I've heard people talk about professionalism, understanding expectations. Talk with us a little bit about your takeaways, what you think you gained from being out there doing the internship.
Well, for me, I know at the beginning of the internship, one of the hardest things for me was remembering all the names that I had to know. And that I'm okay with names, but I'm not the best, I would say. And so it took me probably 2 weeks to learn everyone's names. But knowing their names and them knowing my names gives me the connections of having someone to actually reference it to myself, and if I ever did go into some type of political job, I would know people and they would know me, so I would have a backup kind of people to say, oh yeah, he does what he does need to do and he's a good kid.
All right, so you see some networking benefits for you. Let me just ask you this question. As you move through college, do you plan to stay in touch with any of these individuals that you think you've got some networking benefits from?
Well, actually, on my last day, I gave my personal email to the executive director of the mayor, and so she said if there's anything that comes up cool or big, she'll like maybe a ribbon cutting for a new business or something like that, or anything else. She would just send me an invitation to go there and be with them and meet people and see things.
Rebecca?
Well, when I first started my internship, their scheduler ended up quitting. So I had to take on the role of helping out at the front desk because with only one person up there, it gets crazy and they had way more work than they even deserved to have. And so because of that, as I've gone on with this internship, I actually just found out within the past week that I am going to be working for them over the summer as their temporary scheduler. So that brought up connections just in general with Southern Indiana Rehab itself because now I'm in their system as an employee.
Okay.
So now I have something that when I graduate, I can come there and say, hey, I've worked here, I've interned here. What's the likelihood of a job? My mom works at Clark, so I have different options, but opening up more and more options from being around those people has been a great benefit, and just learning in general just about the field and the other fields involved has helped a lot because I thought, a physical therapist just sits in, they have only physical therapy right here, but really they have all of their fields together, working together. So I think I've gained a lot of benefits just from this internship.
So you actually got a job out of it.
Yeah, I actually got a paying job now.
Okay, well, good for you. Alex, what's your biggest takeaway?
Speaking of connections and working local, again on the bus drivers, I've pretty much dealt with what problems they had in the buses, talked to them during downtime. I've gotten to know them. I have connections with multiple people now in local Southern Indiana, as well as working here at school, going to school. I know a lot more people. I have a lot more connections, references. It's helped me to progress further. Again, they've all been beautiful people. They wish for me to succeed, and in turn, I get along with them and just enjoy that aspect of a lot.
Do you think you want to work in Clark County when you graduate, or do you want to move on to a different area?
Good question. Because at first, computer information technology is usually a coastal thing with California, Silicon Valley. But over the last few years, Louisville is becoming a Silicon Valley now. And there's major jobs opening up here and in Southern Indiana now relating to computer science and whatnot, programming jobs, hardware jobs, everything and the like you can figure. And working out the bus compound, and then had an interview recently for trying to get a temporary job for the Grand Pike County school system as well. I'm looking to work local here, maybe pretty much in this general area, contribute to the community.
I know my dad works at UPS and he's an IT manager.
My dad works at UPS and he's an industrial engineer.
Well, let me just ask you guys, having done the internship, and all of you talked about connections you made, people you've met, and some opportunities have come out of that internship, do you think having done the internship and what you've experienced there will have an impact on whether or not you would stay local once you actually graduate from college?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually impacted where I want to go to college a lot because, I've had multiple offers from swimming an aspect to go to IU or IUPUI, but I actually decided to stay local and go to Bellarmine University. So I could be still around the local area and stuff like that.
Interesting.
They basically told me while I was there, because when you have those people, you get to ask the questions that other people won't know the answers to. So, I was asking about, do you think it's better to stay local, or should I expand where my radius of where I would work? And basically they told me there are plenty of jobs here. The job outlook for physical therapy is really high, even in this area. But they said, just know that the farther towards the coast you want to go, the more you'll get paid. I think I still want to stay local, but just knowing that, I had no clue that, you get paid higher in California than you do here until they talked to me about that. So yeah, it's changed. I think I want to stay local, but now I know I have those other options.
Okay. Guys, what was, did you have an experience in your internship, if you were asked to talk about, we see highlight reels, and Evan's probably been on some highlight reels with some of his swimming championships and stuff. But what would have been the highlight? What was your best, the best moment of your internship?
That's a hard one.
That is tough. I pretty much just liked going with, and the mayor driving me around to different appointments that he has, and me and him went personally together to TV interviews and ribbon cuttings, and I was standing by him as he had the big scissors in his hand and he cut the ribbon for business openings. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I don't know. I have always liked working with kids, and that's where I was placed. I think that was just the highlight in general, was getting to, meet all of these children and their families. I've made personal connections with some of them just because, I've seen them so many times, but also just making connections with these women. They are all nice people to be around. They're people that I'm going to keep in touch with when this is over. Just getting to meet a whole bunch of different people that I wouldn't get to know if I were in school for 7 periods.
Alex, what was your best moment?
I could bring up two.
Okay.
Near the end, I had a partner-assisted work with an older gentleman, and we had utilized a DVR viewer system in order to check the cameras on the buses. We positioned the cameras correctly, and we were able to find out what was on the hard drive, able to reformat that, mess with that, and there was a computer. We used we used the Linux Fedora operating system specifically for certain hard drives in order to reformat them and get them working. And dealing with the loss of coffee in the last 4 weeks here, so
Just all about the technology with you, and
Oh, I have another thing. They always brought in sweets and food, and so I got to eat a lot of chocolate and candy and cake while I was there. That was a positive thing. That was a good experience.
benefits come in many shapes and sizes, don't they? Guys, let me ask you one, I think one maybe final closing or thought. Having gone through the internship, would you recommend this to friends of yours? And I would ask you to kind of tell me why or why not.
I would only recommend it to people who are very much dedicated to what they want to do and dedicated to the thing that they are going into, or the internship, because if you're not, then you're not going to want to do it. But if you really want to do that and you're really wanting to learn about it, then that's someone that wants to go in there and they will actually put in the work and do what they need to do.
I would definitely recommend it. But I would warn them. I think there was a misconception with some people that it was just, oh, you get out of class early. And it's not that. It's like you have an actual job. You have to go. You have a workload. It's similar to being in school because you don't just get to not do anything. You have to do things every day. You have to stay productive. And I think if someone's willing to do that, they'll really enjoy an internship.
Well, yeah, and internships are Alex approved and recommended.
Oh, okay.
So, but along with what Evan and Rebecca said, Yeah, it's definitely, if you want to work, if you're dedicated and you actually want to go into it, you can, and you should definitely try it out if it is a viable option for pretty much any field. You can pretty much get in the workplace earlier at school, try it out, test it out, and
Well, even if someone doesn't like their internship, it's still like you should still stick with it because it has so many more benefits than you even realize. Even if it's just work experience, because you have to learn to work with people you don't like. You're not gonna have this dream job where you just love every single aspect of your job. There's always going to be something that you don't want to do. And so it's kind of a good experience, like learning experience to say, hey, I'm not going to always enjoy what I do, but I have to keep doing it.
Yeah, well, I feel like as seniors, I know my pretty much freshman and junior and sophomore year, I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't really care. I don't have to know right now. And this year it was just like a sudden jump of you're going to need to know this because you're actually going to start your life, and this is not just a game anymore. And I feel like this really puts the aspect of it that some people don't get, that you have to go in there and you have to see things and you have to actually try things and know what you like and what you don't like. And this gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, and with that, even if you don't necessarily know what you want to do or you think this is what you want to do, like at the beginning of this year, I had never planned on physical therapy. It's kind of something that popped out last minute. And so I was kind of torn between two different things. So when I took this internship, it really helped me decide between the two, what I really wanted to do. But not only that, it can at least, eliminate an option if you find out that's not what you want to do. So worst case scenario, you just find out, hey, I don't actually want to do this. So that takes away at least one choice that you were looking into and narrows it down.
more in the minority here, and I actually knew what I wanted to work with. I knew I wanted to do something with computers and computer science in general. And starting from junior year, taking classes here until the eventual internship that I was offered and very much enjoyed, it further reinforced what I actually wanted to do in computer science. I work with hardware and software, and it gave me much more experience. And again, I really enjoyed it, and I'm extremely glad I was offered this.
The thing I would recommend, and this isn't necessarily just with internships, is job shadowing and just researching and talking to people who are older and more mature than you. You need to look at everything, because if you don't, you'll miss out on something. Like, I know I want to work with children, but if I just knew that going into college, I have 30, 40 different options of what I want to do or what I could do. And not knowing your senior year what you want to do isn't the worst thing, but if you sit there and you don't do anything about it, and you just hope it shows up and, smacks you in the face one day, you can't guarantee that that's going to happen. You have to go out there and search for what you want to do. It's okay to not know, but you have to at least make an effort to figure it out yourself.
One last area let's talk a little bit about, guys. We hear a lot about work ethic, and we've even started an initiative here in the district where students in your senior class is the first class that's been eligible to earn the work ethic certification. Talk to me a little bit, when you walked into the workplace, was there a different feel for expectations in terms of attendance, being on time, being punctual? Talk about what you learned, what you experienced, and how that was different from what you had experienced up through school.
School is, it's motivated to be there every day, but it's not mandatory exactly. There's tons of people I know that don't come to school and they don't get repercussions for it just because they either are done with all their stuff or they know what they're doing and they don't really need a teacher's help. But in the workplace, if you don't go to your job, you're going to get fired, and that's just a change. And you have to have that ethic in the work, because it's not like school. You have to be there.
Did they emphasize that to you? Did they make it pretty clear to you what the expectations were?
Well, yes and no. If there's something that you have to go do, like you have an appointment or something is wrong and you like your family is something going on with your family, then it's okay to miss. But if you're there and you're okay, you need to be there.
The stakes are a lot higher with a job. With school, I could miss a day, come back, and have my makeup work done within that very same day, typically. I've always run that. But with a job, unless, like he said, you can, if you're sick or, something's going on, it is okay to miss if you have a legitimate reason. But there's no just, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like coming in today, because you're putting your job on the line every time you miss. So, unless you have a real reason, you're expected to be there, because you could lose your job, or there's just different things that could happen. Whereas in school, I miss a day, oh, I have 2 days of work now instead of 1. It's not really that big of a deal.
If you miss your job, there's someone else that is willing to take it.
Yeah, there's always someone that's, nipping at your heel to take your job, to, get that payment check that you're getting, that they want. So when you put money into the mix, people are more willing to fight for that position. So any mistake you make.
And a big part with work ethic and whatnot is a dependability on who you can depend upon and others who can depend upon you. It's almost an unspoken rule, and you need to understand that, again, others are dependent on you. It's like, oh, you both share the same feelings, and I wasn't fully informed and brief with, you need to be here every day, you need to follow these expectations and guidelines to a heavy extent, but I understood I was in a more professional workplace, and I pushed myself to be there. I pushed myself to work as hard as I could to complete the task, to go above and beyond, to learn from my task as well. It allowed for me to get much higher than normally would, just by understanding that others are counting on me, and in turn, me to them.
I think that it's great that they're enforcing work ethic within high school, because in the workplace, it's an unspoken rule. You're just expected to know that, hey, I can't just say I want to stay home. It's just expected that you know it, and no one really they don't really enforce it. If you're not going to be there, they have, like we said, they have someone in line waiting. They can just get rid of you and get the next person.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that they're enforcing that in school. Personally, I'm not getting the work ethic certificate. I've been sick too many times this year. The 1 year that they actually have that is the year I'm actually sick. But I think it's a good thing to strive for, because, you all explained that people laugh when you say, oh, should we expect them to be here 95% of the time? No, we expect you to be here at least 98% of the time. If you're below 98%, we'll fire you. Knowing that, I didn't know that. I knew you had to be at work, but I didn't know, 98%, kind of that unspoken, number. That's an important thing to know, and to learn that in high school is just another benefit.
So I know senior year, a lot of people are just ready to get out of here, so they just say, I'll miss a day, or I'll miss 20 days. I know some people that do that, but I feel like this internship actually kind of helped that, because you feel like you're not stuck in a classroom all day. And actually, I don't know, I get to drive my car out to the internship, and I know that kind of felt like a little piece of freedom for me. And it gave me a sense of, oh, okay, I'm not just stuck in the classroom all day. I can go out, and I have my car, and I can go to some place and do actual other work. So that helped me, and I know that made it feel like a little less structured plan.
Yeah. Even when I want to miss, my parents have never let me just miss school. But this year it's kind of hit hard where, I've started hitting my snooze button occasionally. But with the internship, I've still struggled to come to school. But with the internship, they all understood that fact that, there were days where I was just tired, and even though I liked it there, I just wanted to be home. And they knew that. And they made it fun, they would joke around, and they'd make it not seem like a boring school day when I was there, because it's different. And they're fun, they can joke around, and it just makes your day better. So, the internship didn't necessarily help me not want to miss, but the people I was with when I was at my internship helped me not want to miss so much.
Yeah, Guys, let's talk a little bit about, you're all seniors. You're getting close to adulthood, you're young adults. And I know you're treated in school, there's a certain set of rules and stuff. How would you compare how you feel coming to school and how you're treated in terms of adult versus younger person, and how you were treated or what it was like in your internship environment? And
But I feel like they expect you to act like an adult. Where here, I feel like sometimes teachers, because you have different spectrums of students. You have the students who don't want to work and prosper, and then you have the students that are very well driven and act like mature adults. And I feel like they kind of just group everyone into they're just kids, they don't want to do this. So there were times, like, and not with all teachers, but some teachers I kind of felt like just treated everyone like they were, a mischievous child who just wanted to get out of everything. Whereas that wasn't the case all the time. But there, until you give them a reason not to trust you, they start out with the trust. You don't have to earn it. They expect that, and then you have to maintain that trust.
And you actually work within the school system. What was it comparable? Did they treat you down there the way they would treat you here at school?
Oh, I
Or
was
it more like
I was a fellow employee down there. So. But along with the parallel between internships and school, along with how they actually would treat you essentially like an adult or a child, but there is more responsibility out in the workplace and internship, and with that does come freedom. And compared to school life, it is definitely treating you more similar to a child. Whereas in this state of being a young adult, you're in a nice limbo here, where you're expected to have the principles and aspects of an adult, but you still attend school and pretty much perform the same things and routines you had as a elementary schooler, a middle schooler, a primary school. And with this, it's a welcome change of pace from what it originally had, and from that, there's a lot more.
All of you kind of referenced that you felt kind of a sense of freedom and a sense that you weren't totally, I guess, being micromanaged maybe. But along with that freedom, what did all of you understand was the other side of that? What's on the other end of that freedom spectrum?
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Like with mine, like they'd give me a task, like if I needed to, type up some list or make calls for them. They didn't sit right beside me and, make sure I'm doing it the way they wanted and exactly, make sure I stayed on task. They'd hand it to me, they'd go off and do what they need to, and they'd expect that I'd get it done. And, in a decent amount of time, I wouldn't slack off. And that's where the responsibility comes with the freedom. You can do it how you want. You can kind of do it on your time, but they expect that you're mature enough to get it done when you need to and not just sit around and say, I'll just start it tomorrow.
Okay. I want to thank each of you for being here this morning, participating in our little roundtable discussion. I also want to thank you for being a part of our first group of internships with our College Career Readiness Initiative. And all of you had a very successful experience. I've gotten great feedback from all of your supervisors, and I'm happy to say that all of the placements where you were have agreed to take interns next year. So I think that speaks volumes to your performance out there and how you represented not only our school, but how you represented yourself. So we thank you for that and wish you the best as you head off into your post-secondary experiences, and hope your internship is a benefit and helps you as you move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.